Let's take a look at factoring the trinomial 24a squared minus 22a minus 21. And if we're not able to it's not that we're not able, if the trinomial can't be factored, then we will state that it's prime. Now, in a problem like that, because there are a number of choices of factor pairs for 24 and for negative 21, I would recommend using the AC method. So that would be my recommendation. All right, so in order to do that, I have to look at the product AC. So A times C is 24 times negative 21. And I need to find out what that product is. And I'm looking for two integers that multiply to give that. And then whatever those two integers are, they have to add to give B. So B is negative 22. And those same two integers have to add to give B. All right, so we see that this product is going to give me a negative number. So A times C is a negative number. So one of the integers is going to have to be negative. And I find it's always easier in this process to put the negative integer first. So this product is negative 504. And I'm trying to find two integers that multiply to give that add to give negative 22. Now, I notice that right here, I have two pairs of numbers. I see that, and I'm going to ignore the sign for a minute. I see that 24 times 21 is 504. Well, I can look at anything that is a factor of these two numbers, and that's going to also be a factor of 504. So I know 12 is a factor of 24. So I find out how many times does 12 divide into 504. So any number that divides into a factor of 504 is going to also divide into 504. So let's divide 504 by 12. And we get 42. All right, now we know if these are going to add to be a negative, we're always going to be assigning the negative sign to the larger of the two numbers. So these two numbers, negative 24 and 21, add to give negative 3. 12 times negative 42 gives me negative 504. And these add to give negative 30. So I'm getting closer. I'm actually a little bigger than I need this to be, but I am getting closer to the answer. So negative 3, getting a sum of negative 3 is real far from negative 22. Getting a sum of negative 30 is much, much closer to what I'm actually trying to obtain. All right, so I notice that I have a 42 and a 12. So I can think of factors of 42. And any factor of 42 is going to be a factor of 504. So notice 14 goes into 42. So I'm going to divide 14 into 504. So I know then 14 will divide into 504. And it actually divides in 36 times. Since I want these to add to be a negative, when I ignore the signs initially, I just have two positive integers. And I'm always going to be assigning the negative to the larger of the two positive integers. So this multiplies to give negative 504. And then negative 36 plus 14 equals negative 22. So this then is the pair of factors that I'm looking for. So negative 36 times 14 gives me negative 504, and negative 36 plus 14 gives me negative 22. So I'm going to take these numbers, these integers that I found, and notice I'm not going to change the 24a squared, I'm not going to change the negative 21, but I'm going to write negative 22a as negative 36a plus 14a. So if one of your integers is negative and the other positive, I always recommend putting the negative first, because then you don't have the sign error that people often make. It really doesn't matter what order you write these two in. If I could have written plus 14a minus 36a, but most people avoid the common error that can be made if they put when one integer is negative and the other positive, if they put the negative one first. So the GCF of 24a squared and negative 36a is 12a. 12a times 2a gives me my 24a squared. 12a times negative 3 gives me my negative 36a. All right, now whenever I find these two integers, as I found here, then that means I am going to be able to factor this by the AC method. So once I find the correct GCF of the first two terms, then there is a GCF that I can factor out of the last two terms that also multiplies by 2a minus 3. So these are going to be twin factors. And I know that's going to be possible if I find my two integers. So 7 times 2a will give me a positive 14a. So this is a positive 7. So this factors into the twin common factor is 2a minus 3. And in first position, that was multiplied by 12a. And in second position, that was multiplied by plus 7. So that's my factorization. And we can always check this. And we know that first times first is 24a squared. 2a times 12a is 24a squared. Outside times outside is plus 14a. Inside times inside is negative 36a. And last times last is negative 21. So I wind up with exactly what my problem was. 24a squared minus 22a minus 21. So my correct factorization is indeed 2a minus 3 times 12a plus 7. And that's how I actually would find that.